Okay, peace Sakai. So this is week 8 of CMH. Um, this week drew me to one of my favorite books from this program, Healing the Soul Wound by Eduardo Duran. I'm just going to jump right into it. This is from page 43, Identity of a Healer. And this passage here kind of summed it up for me that um, I knew that I could do this work while encompassing everything that I am. The importance of, everyone's ancestors giving permission to hold this space. It's like my ancestors are asking the client's ancestors if it's cool to, hear their story, to hold their story, and the client also asking if it's okay to speak about it, to speak on it. It's a serious honor system that pays homage to the foundations that were laid that kind of guided us into our being, you know, um, and because it's connected to nature, it's connected to the moon and the stars and the sun and the water and the land, the earth, and the greens, all around. It's an individual journey for each person. It's very different, and everyone gets specific messages, and I think that is important to have in one's medicine bag in reference to any healing work that they do, but especially with healing work that involves the heart, the mind, you know. So I'm going to make this one quick, but this kind of, for me, summed up the connection that the healer and the client must have in order to do ancestral work. Healer must be known. The ancestors of the healer and the ancestors of the patient also will be relating in the healing process. This was explained to students, much to their despair. So, yeah, the whole passage basically talks about, in order for the therapist to make contact with a native or any other patient, the ancestors of the healer must be known. The ancestors of the healer and the ancestors of the patient also will be relating in the healing process. So that's the whole passage. But this week's readings led me back to this book, which I truly love, which basically gave a name to the way in which I want to practice. Gave me a something tangible, So I'm just going to jump into some passages, phrases, words that jumped out at me from the readings, and then just elaborate on those. Balance between human needs and the needs of non-human nature. Yeah, I think in order to create and maintain equilibrium, it's necessary to honor our very physical, very worldly needs, but without being grounded in the spiritual aspects of us, who we are, our rituals and practices. And it doesn't have to be anything rehearsed, but the things that we intuitively feel. It might be just putting a glass of water on the table, or some fresh flowers, or a bowl of fruit, or a crystal, or, you know, that's why altar building for me is such a huge, it's something I really want to incorporate and use as an EXA, modality and tool, because your altar is whomever you are, and it changes because you change. The things you're inspired by, the things that are important to you, your creations, your wishes, your dreams, your loves, beauty, your offerings. your altar is all of those things. And it's a great way for people to see who they are, all of who they are, the things that are important to them, the things that they um, may even be afraid of, all of it. So, yeah, the ancient ways of our ancestors are valuable, reliable, and more sustainable than the present day methods of living in the universe. Again, I think we need both. I think we need a lot of the present day accessibility, but keeping in mind that, you know, who we are who we are within it, because it's easily to become just as manufactured, just as much of a carbon copy as the standard. But it's important to remember the prophecy we came here to fulfill and who we came to this world to be. And that's all about ancestral practices. The idea that we are spirits returning is holding firm and true to the beliefs that our ancestors had in what cannot be seen, what cannot be explained. So that balance, I think, has to exist in all things. How much of the healing practices can be shared? See, for me, there's just certain things that I think are sacred and should stay that way. General things like altar work, and the reason why I say it's general is because it's a very agile tool. It can work for all populations. It can be something that you can use in couples therapy, family therapy, with children, with elders. Like, it's everybody. And it can be something important to everybody. But I also feel like personal ceremonies and readings, where you're getting your messages that are specifically for you and your family, I think that those should be kept for the recipients. And also, when certain prayers and languages are being spoken, I don't know, I just feel like it's for the ones that are there experiencing it. Everything is not always meant to be documented. Um, yeah. So, yeah. And each healing practice is unique to the individual, requiring healing and to the healer. Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think that that's one of the reasons why it's important to follow the lead of the client. They will guide you into where um, the session is going to go. And through your active listening and through your own intuition, you begin to co-create this experience. And yeah, and it's never the same with each client is different. Doesn't matter that you're a marriage and family therapist. What session A looks like and session B looks like are worlds away, right? Um, let's see. Scientific paradigms are often used to reject or refute the validity of various rituals and practices. For sure, because if you don't have, there is no scientific research that can prove it. So to them, it does not exist. They're the ones who have the grants. They're the ones who have the letters. They're the ones who have the esteem. So they're like, it's not true. But then you have other people who've experienced and and have traveled and seen the people and see these tribes of people who have been existing in the mountains, not changing their ancient ways, while everything, down in the city, just maybe like 30, 40 miles away is so robotic and so digital. And it's like, how can these people exist and be thriving? And they don't have any of the worldly things that we have. And it has all to do with upholding their ancestral practices and their ways of living and being, surviving off the land, understanding community, supporting one another. Yeah. So, people do not understand the significance and responsibility associated with an invocation to spirit of a plant, an animal, or ancestor. Yeah, it's serious. I feel like once you open that door, there is a responsibility in taking care of it, in honoring it, and not exploiting it, and understanding what is for you and what is for the world, what you can share. Because there's certain things that I've, like I said, it's for the participants, it's for the people who are a part of those communities. There is a bit of exclusivity because it's about the work. It's about the years spent learning more about it and studying. And it's a very sacred act. It's very, so, yeah. So that is week 8 as far as the readings are concerned. And my aesthetic responses, this is called Anansi's Eye. And this is on acrylic and paper. And I did this a while ago, but it really just seemed to capture this week's readings and just the feeling of it, and just, the white dots representing the eyes of the ancestors, also the womb. It can do so many different things, but mostly I saw fabric. I saw a lot of the textile that you might see, a pattern or a print that you might see on some African clothing, or I'd want to see on some African clothing, right? And then this one is just a mix of concrete city, a mix of spiritual practice, batik, tribal. It's just a mix of different textures. Bring it up a little closer. And it's acrylic as well. It was really fun to make. Just a lot of cut up shapes, stencils, like handmade stencils, and just kind of playing with paint. Really cool to make these two. Okay. All right. Thank you. Peace.